Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be giving you an update on Winter Storm Nathaniel, which is currently ravaging areas of the Central Plains with some heavy snowfall, especially if you live in northern Kansas or southeastern Nebraska, as well as southern Iowa. We're going to be tracking it for you guys, as well as giving you my updated snowfall forecast for this event. And again, we're going to be timing this out for you guys, and we're going to be going in depth on what changed overnight with the models. Currently, we're expecting more of this system to be focused over upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, instead of areas further south like we were originally anticipating. We'll update you guys on that and everything to do with this storm. So let's get right into it, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. And as you can tell, it is very, very active currently. We'll go from west to east. We have some winter storm watches in the blues over parts of California, Nevada, Oregon, and Idaho. We have a very big storm that's moving into the western United States currently, and that's what's producing all of these watches and warnings. In some areas of the Sierra Nevadas could get up to 72 inches or more of snowfall. So there's definitely a lot going on, especially in the west. And then we have our next system, and that system that we're going to talk more about today, over the eastern United States. So it's definitely a very, very active day in terms of weather. We have winter weather advisories scattered throughout the western United States, as well as a few winter storm warnings throughout the western U.S. And then we have some some freeze watches in effect, some hard freeze watches in effect for Central California, and then some hard freeze warnings in effect for Northern California. And then we have some more wind advisories, wind warnings, and some wind watches in effect as well for California and Arizona there. So you can definitely tell it's very active over the west as well as over the eastern United States. We have a few flood warnings going through parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky, as well as some more winter storm warnings to the north from Kansas all the way to northern Illinois, and then another area of winter storm warnings mainly for ice accretion over parts of Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and into Pennsylvania. And then for the rest of those areas in that purple, that's where you're looking at some winter weather advisories where the effects aren't going to be as major, but still you could have some road impacts mainly from ice, especially if you live over these regions where you could be having a little bit of ice difficulties, and some snow as you get further to the north. So currently, this is what your surface map looks like. And if you're wondering why most of the models have actually shifted the main area of snow up to New England now, this is why. We were anticipating a 1040 high pressure up further to the north, but it was a much stronger high pressure than what we have right now. If you look at what it is right now, it's a 1023, which isn't as strong. It's a strong high pressure, but it's not as strong. We also have a stronger low pressure than what we were expecting. So what that's going to do is kind of drive into the high pressure and kind of stick around. It's being able to kind of push further to the north, and that's going to have an effect on both systems. I know a lot of you guys have heard of this other system that's going to be coming through into the mid-Atlantic and parts of the Tennessee Valley later on this week. If we have this low pressure move further to the north, then you're going to have that low pressure kind of stick around right over here, and that's going to force that other one to the south. So there are some numerous impacts from this one little change in the models. Another thing that did force this high pressure to weaken a little bit is because we have a much stronger low pressure to the north than we were once anticipating, and that's going to kind of dive into that high pressure and weaken it by quite a bit. And then you see our low pressure that's creating all of the storminess over the central United States, and it's currently sitting in Oklahoma, and that's going to continue to move further to the east. Now, we currently have a Mesoscale discussion in effect from the Storm Prediction Center, and that's mainly for some heavy snowfall over northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, northwestern Missouri, and southwestern Iowa. And this is for snowfall rates that could exceed 2 inches per hour, they say, and in that blue area, that's where you're looking at the highest snowfall rates. And some of those areas could have a grand total of about 15 inches of snowfall, especially in southeastern Nebraska. It really looks to be the bullseye of this storm. And here's what the current radar looks like in the blue. That's where we're dealing with that snow. You could see that up through Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa. We have a little spot in the middle where we're not dealing with a lot of precipitation, and then back through the eastern United States, we're dealing with potentially some ice accretion. Also, you're looking at some of the radars and you're thinking that this is really heavy rainfall. It's really not as heavy as you're looking at because the radar is picking up on some melted snowflakes that are also kind of diluting this and increasing the precipitation on the radar. In reality, the rain isn't as heavy as you're seeing right here, But generally, we are dealing with more of that snow to the north, some light snow. But the main threat here is going to be that ice accretion, where we're dealing with a heavy band of freezing rain moving through southern Ohio and central and southern Indiana, and that's definitely going to be definitely something that you want to keep in mind. So here's the NAM 3 cam model, and we're going to time this out for you guys. So this would be right around 4 p.m. Eastern time today, 3 p.m. Central time. We're looking at that snow back through the west through parts of Iowa, Illinois, and into Missouri there. And then we're dealing with the start of that freezing rain through parts of northwestern Virginia and eastern West Virginia there. We're dealing with potentially a heavy burst of snow over the mid-Atlantic, and I think you could drop maybe 1, 2, 3 inches per hour, or 1, 2, or 3 inches total, not per hour, over that region in just about a couple of hours, and then it should probably move over to rain. But I think you could get a quick, decent accumulation, and then it should wash over again. So watch out there, especially this would be right around 7 p.m. tonight Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central time. So watch out if you are going to be on the roads around that time, especially if you live right around the Washington, D.C. area. That's where you could be dealing with some potentially moderate or even heavy snowfall at times during that about 6-hour window from about 6 p.m. Eastern time to about 12 a.m. Eastern time. You could be dealing with some heavy snow over that area, and also some moderate to heavy snow moving throughout Missouri, Iowa, and northern Illinois, and then some lighter snow off to the east. Now, as we continue this forward, you start to see that the systems kind of converge, where you were recently or before you were dealing with two different areas of precipitation. Now it's going to be kind of one bigger area of precipitation. We are dealing with some scattered rain and freezing rain throughout parts of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and even back through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia there, where you do have those winter storm warnings up mainly for ice over this area, and some of those areas could even pick up over 1/10 of an inch, maybe even closer to 1/4 of an inch of ice out of this, especially if you live again over this area right here. And then we're dealing with more of that heavy to moderate snowfall back through northern Illinois, southern Iowa. This would be by right around 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. And we're dealing with that snow moving through northern Illinois, southern Iowa. We are also dealing with a decent band of snow moving through southern New Jersey, Delaware, northern Maryland, and southern Pennsylvania by that point. And I think after this point, it should really start to break up. So as you're watching this, you're actually thinking that, wow, this is a really decent band of snow, and then it really falls apart over this area right here, and then it should reform back over New England, where you guys could get back into some of that snowfall. So you're going to see that right here, as you see that snow kind of gets suppressed a little bit, because we have that high pressure further to the south. Although it is weaker, that's going to kind of infuse a little bit more dry air, and that should break up some of these showers right here, and so it should weaken a little bit. But as you get that offshore low pressure to develop, you might get a little bit more snow to redevelop over New England and upstate New York through the day on Tuesday. So this would be by 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 a.m. Central Time. We're looking at more of that snow back through the lower Great Lakes, maybe some scattered freezing rain back through the Ohio Valley, and then that snow is still breaking up throughout southern New Jersey, northern Delaware, and southern Pennsylvania. And then you can really see how it becomes more spotty shower activity overnight. If you live in the lower Great Lakes, that's where you're looking at, again, that steady, heavy, moderate snowfall still taking place through the morning hours on Tuesday. It breaks up, and then you get that northern arm of moisture to pull through, and that's when you start to get more snowfall to develop over here. We're still dealing with moderate to heavy snowfall back through into Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and into Missouri. So that could be maybe 4 or 5 inches in just about a 6-hour window right there. So it is going to be fairly moderate, even heavy snowfall at times, and a few couple bursts here and there. We're dealing with that scattered rain, freezing rain activity, nothing too significant over Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And then as it moves into upstate New York, that's when you're getting those isolated supercells of heavier snow popping up there. We're dealing with the low pressure by this point, actually all the way up in northern Pennsylvania. So you can definitely tell we do have colder air on that eastern side of the system, but it won't be enough to get that cold air all the way further to the south. So there will be some mixing issues, and you can see how, because that low pressure is so much further to the north and it's right around here by this point, you have a lot more energy to deal with. So now these are pockets in upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, where you could be dealing with some heavier snowfall that just 24 hours ago weren't even expecting any snowfall, and it's a really major drastic change of events that it's completely different than what we were expecting just about 24 hours ago, and the models really shifted very, very quickly overnight. And then here to be by Tuesday night through Wednesday morning, we're dealing with more of that snow through New England, and it's just going to stay there through Wednesday and through the entire day on Wednesday. It's still snowing over a lot of these areas, pretty light to moderate through the day on Wednesday, but generally just some scattered snow showers after we get through Wednesday morning. Those showers will really break up, and you won't be dealing with anything too significant after that. So here would be what the snowfall totals on the NAM 3cam model are. You can see that in the grays, under an inch to 2 inches, 2 to 6 inches in the blues, 6 to 10 inches in the purples, and about 10 to 15 inches in the pinks. And this is not my forecast. My forecast is coming in a little bit, but this is what the models are showing. Just to give you a couple of opinions right here, we have that first band of heavier snow through the lower Great Lakes and back through into the Central Plains. And then we have another area, that quick burst over the Mid-Atlantic, and then we have another burst over New England and upstate New York there, where you are dealing with some snowfall moving throughout those regions, and that could even be a couple of inches of quick snowfall that get dumped overnight, and then you wake up and you have 2 or 3 inches of snowfall on the ground already. Here would be what the National Weather Service is showing, and they have some lighter amounts over these regions. They push this a little bit further to the north, but over the Midwest and the Great Lakes, they have a very similar outlook to what the NAM 3cam model was showing. And then here's what the European model is showing for this event. We're looking at pretty much the same story. It is a little bit weaker with this system, but still you're dealing with a general band of about 2 to 4 inches, and maybe even a couple of pockets of 6+ inches of snowfall. And then here's what the GFS model is showing, and again, it's pretty similar. It even has some heavier pockets through upstate New York and New England. Now here's that ice accretion map, because we are looking at potentially the threat of some decent ice accumulation, and you can see that it's really centered over Western Virginia, especially northwestern Virginia, eastern West Virginia, much of northern Maryland, and back through southern Pennsylvania, as well as another area over Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio there. Those are the two areas that you want to pay attention for in terms of ice accretion, because even a tenth of an inch of ice could cause some decent road issues there. And then here's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing for its severe weather risk, because we do have a severe thunderstorm risk. It's going to be a light one, a marginal risk of severe weather over Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi there. And the real only threat would be wind and maybe a couple of isolated, very weak tornadoes. Now, here's my snowfall forecast for this event. From now through Wednesday, under an inch of snowfall is expected throughout these regions from the Midwest and the Central Plains through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and then back through much of the Northeast. So this is where I'm thinking you're going to get at least a light accumulation out of this event. 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, that covers again much of the Central Plains, back through the lower Great Lakes, in through the Northeast there, and up through into New England. That's where I'm looking at over an inch of snowfall, maybe even up to 3 inches of snowfall in some of these areas, 3 to 6 inches of snowfall through the lower Great Lakes and the Central Plains. Another little area for northwestern Virginia, eastern West Virginia, and northwestern Maryland. I think you could squeeze out 2 or 3 inches of snowfall, so I'll leave the possibility that maybe a couple areas even get closer to 4 inches of snowfall in some of those areas. And then through upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont, that's where I'm looking at. Maybe you could even get to closer to 6 inches of snowfall. And then that jackpot zone from northern Illinois westward into southern Iowa, northwestern Missouri, north central Kansas, and southeastern Nebraska there. That's where I'm looking at over 6 inches. And then over the Catskills of upstate New York, and then also some of the Green Mountains in southern Vermont, you guys could be looking at 6 or more inches, probably closer to 6 inches of snowfall. And those are going to be in those highest elevations. I think it'll be a general 4 inches or right around 3 to 5 inches of snowfall through central New England and into central upstate New York. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.